Hi guys, I'm David.
Hey, and I'm Garen.
And we are the Printed Panel Podcast, and we're going to run through a review of the comic books we read on August 26th. Now, I have proposed to Garen that we change the reviews, and so I'm going to put this out there to the people who watch and listen to the show. So basically, Ben, the only person that gives us any feedback. What I have put on the table is, instead of doing a brief review of everything we read, that we actually pick 2 or 3 things each and do a little bit deeper dive into the book to try to fit it into a 30 to 35 minute segment. I mean, spending 5 minutes on 6 books would be pretty doable. Spending 10 minutes on 3 books would be pretty doable. Trying to go through 20 and 35 minutes is a bit of a push.
Sure.
And sometimes we don't give things the attention they deserve. So, what I'm asking of all of you as listeners, subscribers, viewers, fans, if such a word applies, is give us some feedback, please. Do you want us to continue doing what we're doing with reviews, or would you like to hear more in-depth? I could spend 30 minutes just talking about Batman 3 Jokers this week.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I have no idea how I feel about it, and generally I can talk that out.
It's worth the read, and it's worth the discussion, because it was a great book.
And instead, I'm going to go 5 minutes of filler on it. So that we don't lengthen the episode, I'll drop there. But please give us that feedback. That's my ask of all of you, to let us know how you feel about it. I'm more than happy to keep doing what we're doing, but I also want to kind of do stuff that works and is effective for our listeners.
Honestly, we've tried different formats over the past few years. We've always tried something different. We've been seated with me standing. We've been at a table. We're doing video now. We're trying to make it a whole lot more interesting for people, because they don't see our beautiful selves every week.
I've said the ultimate end to this is just David and Garen do Knoxville. I mean, anyway. So let's get started on the reviews.
That sounded worse than it really was, I think.
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
So Aftershock, God Killers number 5.
Wow. What a great book. So they defeat Baba Yaga, and Al-Hazred gets the djinn, and that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, so basically, Baba Yaga has gone to America, kidnapped American kids and Russian kids.
Did you notice how much that guy in profile looked like Trump without the wig? I was like, actually, Trump could have a dignified profile if he was bald.
Right.
I was like, wow.
But that was the point. It was being drawn that way, obviously. Yeah. But Al-Hazred, they basically trades the Kosheki's soul for the ring, and so he can have the djinn. And they sneak their way back in the United States, even though they're kind of most hunted
in body bags.
And they go after the president, who basically is being like, give me that ring. I need it for Baba Yaga. It's like, nope. We're going to take down Baba Yaga ourselves, and they do. Baba Yaga runs away on her broom, and they rescue the kids, and all's well that ends well, or does it? Because
it wasn't the end ? It was just the end. Mark Sable wrote that one, I believe.
They can
really
absolutely do more, and I kind of hope he does. Just being honest.
We got volume 2 of year 0 coming up.
Yes,
so
I know, it's great.
It's possible we could see future God Killers, but you know what? If that's not the end of God Killers and I never see it again, it was a well done story. It had nothing to do with Lovecraft at all, other than the dude's name was Abdul Al-Hazred.
Okay. So maybe that's the point. Maybe this is the beginning, and this God Killers 2 is going to be more good.
Yeah.
So
speaking of year 0 number 4.
Wow.
By the way, The Man Who Effed Up Time number 5 dropped this week. The shop was shorted. We didn't get copies.
We'll get them next week, and we'll read them. Well, no, because it's final issue.
Is it?
I think 5 is final issue, I think.
So I didn't think so. I thought this was ongoing.
I thought that was just 5. Maybe we'll find out. All right. So AWA Year 0 number 4, great book. Is continuing a series of great books. It's Ben Percy.
So let's just talk about the only thing in that book that we cared about.
So the guy drives all the way 200 miles away, and he finds out that it's not Anna inside. The guy's name is Keith?
I have no idea. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, there's a dude in there. It wasn't a chick.
So
it's like, but the funny thing is, it's still another human left alive. It's probably a good thing.
He got catfish during a zombie apocalypse. That's brilliant. And my prediction is he will put a wig on the guy, and that will be his new relationship. So, and I'm fine with that. I think that's beautiful. I mean, a homosexual romance in a zombie apocalypse is probably more satisfying than him getting there and it being some ditzy blonde bimbo. Oh, I cracked up. I cracked up genuinely. Because you can't. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? I mean, this is an interesting conundrum this young man finds himself in.
All right, and
So you didn't get a copy of Win number 3.
For some reason, I just did not get a copy of Win number 3. If you want to talk about it, please do, or are you not reading Wind?
I think it's best if I don't talk about it. I am reading Wind.
Yeah.
Maybe it's my bad mood lately, but I had a hard time. Like, I did not particularly enjoy this issue. But
do me a favor, please comment on David's bad mood, and I say, hey,
it wasn't. No,
David,
please don't.
Up.
You'll make it worse. Leave me alone. Leave me the hell alone.
Which is what I'm not doing right now.
Yeah, no, not a good idea. I don't need to attack people in the comments. Please, no. Wind is still as sweet and as vulnerable and as innocent as it's been all along. And yeah.
So we still love James Tynion, regardless. James Tynion the Fourth, pardon me, because this has been a great series, and I'll pick it up and read it too. So I don't know why I didn't pick it up. I'll be honest. It's just slipped the list.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. Let's start with Batgirl number 48.
Wasn't the issue I expected.
Well, it went back from the pure action of 47 to.
Well, and at the end of the issue, her and Joker are both collapsed on the roof. He didn't get away, she didn't get away, and it wakes up with her in the hospital being tended by
her brother,
James
JJ.
Gordon Jr.
Yeah.
And
who is a psychopath, but apparently he's all better now because of the meds.
No, he's not.
No, he's not all better.
No.
He proves in the issue he's not all better. He and his dad get into it several times because he's not all better. But what she does is she figures out how to get another copy of the implant
from her boyfriend Luke Fox, ex-boyfriend,
and Luke reinstalls it in her back. And what does she do? Instead of trying to do rehabilitation, she goes right back to work
and gets in her Batgirl suit and jumps off a building. I hate to say it. There's only 2 more issues in the run. I think they probably hooked me for issue 49 and 50. Now, I'm not a Batgirl follower.
I'm 100% that this is going to be part of Joker War, though. There'll be the skirting around Joker War. So I think 49 will probably be that way. So,
okay,
pretty much sure of that. So, and I definitely want to see the rest because at the end, she's looking down on Bullock, who's looking at her corpse.
Yeah. Well,
a redheaded
Batgirl
corpse.
And Bullock's like, yeah, you better get Gordon.
So I'm a little freaked out. Either she was imagining all of it and that she's not actually in the suit, or that's a clone.
Which DC's not known for.
Or maybe maybe she's the clone. So trying to figure things out here. This should be interesting.
Don't know. Totally willing to find out in the next couple of issues.
Yeah. So let's see.
Maybe it's the Machine. Yeah.
Batman Superman number 11 came out.
Batman Beyond 46.
Okay, well, let's do your Batman Beyond 46. Let's do that first.
Elena Grayson as Batwoman.
Batwoman now. Nice.
Batwoman Beyond. And Terry McGinnis and Damian Wayne and Goliath and Dick Grayson get in the Bat
carrier.
The Bat rocket.
The Bat rocket.
And launch into space to stop everything. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Max and Terry's little brother and Bruce are overwhelmed by snow and a negative 45 degrees below zero winter. So they literally, like, the heat fails and then the generators fell and then the force field that was keeping the snow out fails and they just about get coats on before snow hits them. So, yeah, big thing. And no, Batman Superman number 11.
So Ultrahumanite, he has put a collar on Batman to basically turn him into a Flaming Skull and use him as a weapon to kill Superman. Superman, of course, is smarter than that. He figures out what's basically the explosive device in Batman's chest, disables it, beats Ultrahumanite, and then who then tries to use Batman to kill him, and of course it doesn't work. And they found out Ultrahumanite, the body he's using is just a clone body. His brain is still back in a hidden corner. They actually have to take it into custody, and essentially it's degrading. It's going to die. So, but yeah, this is a good Batman Superman story, because here's the thing. There hasn't been many World's Finest stories in a while, and this was a good team-up story for them. So, and let's
Three
talk.
Jokers.
Yeah, let's talk about Three Jokers.
We got to briefly talk about Three Jokers.
So Three Jokers, it is not.
All right. For all other stuff on the reviews, I will make it an understood thing that you're going to hear spoilers. But if you're watching or you're listening right now and you have not read Three Jokers and you want to, stop now. All right, if you didn't, it's on you. Batman Three Jokers.
So
There are three Jokers.
there are Three Jokers. Well, pardon me, there's two now.
There were three Jokers.
There were Three Jokers. So
I read one thing, because I read a lot of stuff on Bleeding Cool.
Sure.
And Facebook is like, we're listening and watching everything you do, and so we're going to give you trending information to what you read. And so up pops Bat family member gets revenge after 25 years. And I said, okay, either
who could that possibly
either
be?
Barbara kills somebody, kills one of the Jokers, or Jason kills one of the Jokers. There's only two options.
So essentially, the Three Jokers have teamed up, and they're taking down Gotham piece by piece. They haven't targeted the Bat family, but they're targeting everything around. They want to make more Joker fish, and they're basically Batman and crew are led. Batman, Batgirl, and Red Hood are led to the aquarium that's been defunct for a while.
So the criminal is clearly the original.
Yes.
He's the oldest.
He's the Golden Age version. The long face, almost like the Cesar Romero version. Yeah. And then there's two more Jokers. One is the Joker who nearly killed Barbara.
Yes.
And the third, I'm not sure who it is.
It's the killer. It's not the it's Death in the Family Joker.
It's the Death in the Family Joker.
So Killing Joker and Death in the Family Joker are two separate Jokers, which
doesn't make any sense.
Well, it blows my mind a little bit, because wow.
It was like, hey, you're wearing the Jokers together. You're wearing my outfit. That's my outfit. I mean, So Jeff Johns has woven a really good story. It only took him 5 years to do this. So at some point we'll get more story from him. I love you, Jeff Johns, but you gotta make it faster, bud.
Well, we're only getting 3 issues of this.
Yeah, this was supposed to have been done literally 3 years ago. That was what was pitched. It should have been done 3 years ago, and Doomsday Clock happened, and so we haven't had it. Technically, this is set before the Joker War, because the Joker War there's only one Joker.
Well, but see, we don't know that.
We believe
and
it.
My expectation is, if there's 3 Jokers left by the end of 3 Jokers, my expectation is that this will actually sort of serve as a prequel to Joker War. Because, so I had a problem with the idea that 3 Jokers
Could exist at the same place.
could get along well enough to pull anything off without just trying to kill each other.
Hey, that's not funny.
way.
Yeah, I can just say that. Hey, that's not funny.
And so, a bit like trying to get you to get through a reviews episode in 35 minutes.
Rude.
They're not going to have teamed up much historically, because they don't work well together.
Right.
And so I think bringing together a story where they're trying to team up is pretty great. But, big spoiler alert, Jason Todd shoots the Joker that beat him to death in the head. But not before the Joker says, "You're my Robin. You've been doing my bidding since the day I caved in that head, ever since."
So he killed his Joker.
He killed his Joker. He killed the Death in the Family Joker.
That's why he pulled the trigger.
Who is the psychopath, the clown.
Yeah.
Which would have been, I think, Endgame Joker.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move on to the next. because I'm really excited.
Oh, if you think that's dark, I mean, Barbara's eventually going to confront.
Oh, Barbara's going to kill the other Joker.
Well, she kind of helped kill this one.
Well, she didn't stop him.
So he
says, "When's the last time you ever missed with your batarang?"
Yeah, and she could have taken Jason down.
Oh yeah, she could have hurt him. Yeah. So, all right, Detective Comics 1026. It was a filler story.
It was basically, what is Killer Croc doing during Joker War? And
he created his own army of mutants, and
it was a very TMNT issue.
Batman took them. It was
mutants in the sewer led by a crocodile. I was like, oh.
So he took the mutants down, but
Kevin Eastman's gonna sue somebody.
But he saved Croc, and he saved these poor mutants now because they were just villains who are now been mutated.
No, they were just people who ended up mutated.
Well, they were villains. They were crooks. They had weapons and they were crooks. Period.
They were doomsday preppers.
They were hiding from the cops. That's what they basically said in the thing.
No, they didn't. You add things to stories that aren't there.
Anyway, so but Croc does say thank you, Batman. He says for what? For using my real name.
Wayland. Yeah, called him Wayland.
Yeah. Last guy. Oh yeah, Flash. Yeah, Flash. That's right, Flash.
I appreciate your impetus to get through this,
Sorry.
but. Kind of have to go
Flash
to get some in there. Flash. So I was really excited at the end of Flash 759 because Jay Garrick showed up to
kick ass.
Yeah, to stop Eobard Thawne from beating up the kids. And then, as good as issue 759 was, issue 760, I was like, yeah, okay, Barry gets back, takes over his body, pulls Max Mercury and Jesse Quick out.
You see the team at the end.
Eobard Thawne pulls all of his baddies together, and he's like, "Well, you're on your own. You can't beat us." And then you've got the entire Flash family.
They all appear at once. Yeah.
It was a good issue. It was.
No, or not. I have looked through that issue and I saw the end. I loved it, man. It was so cool.
So the cool thing is, Josh Williamson only has a few issues of Flash left. I think 8. I think 768 is his end of the run.
Yeah.
And he's setting up the future of Wally West, and so
Wallace or Wally?
Wally.
Ooh.
So he's writing to the end of 768, and he's also writing Dark Knight's Death Metal, Speed Metal. And so
once you have a Flash, you're gonna make a Flash.
Well, I think what's going to happen is Barry is going to not be the main Flash, and Wally's going to take over. In which case, you'll be all over Flash like a fat kid on a pie.
I love Wally West, man.
So, all right, Last God.
It's Last God. Well, I will say this is more concise than the other stuff. The flash forward, flashbacks make sense. They're essentially going. They're these little guys that are essentially dwarves. They don't call them dwarves.
The Dwaro instead of dwarves.
Yeah. They're they meet the dwarves, and of course the dwarves are.
Philip Kennedy Johnson's like, man, if I call them dwarves, Tolkien's gonna or
someone's gonna sue my ass,
or Dungeons and Dragons gonna sue me. So I'll call them. I can't call them dark dwarves. Nope. Can't call them Darrow. I'll call them Dwaro. That sounds great.
So they're gray dwarves and who are mostly naked, and they have.
There were nipples in this issue.
Yeah, there were nipples. Yeah. So girl nipples.
There were also boy nipples.
Well, that's true. I mean, but I had to point out because you were saying nipples usually, guys. Anyway,
why did you need to point it out?
Well, sometimes you gotta say that. Anyway, so
women like nipples too.
30 years ago, when they went to the Black Stair, they were led by these dwarves. So Dwaro. So, but now, and here's my favorite part. So
you can't get to the Black Stair without going underneath. So basically. Sorry, Tolkien, we're stealing the whole Undermountain story from you.
So
I'm waiting for the Balrog.
The Queen sees these little stone creatures. They're small, but they're all full of magic. Well, what happens is she makes a deal with the king, gives him the ability to enslave these little guys.
There was no hero in any part of that story.
No, none.
It's a dark
When they
world.
come back 30 years later to go underneath, there's no dwarves left. Because they've all been killed, because essentially they stole all the power they needed to, and then killed themselves off. And now
they're basically fire demons now.
The Balrog fire demon. So yeah, good story.
It's the Mines of Moria.
It is.
If you want to skip this issue, just substitute characters from the Fellowship for the characters from Last God, and there you go.
Unfortunately, kind of that's a thing. The last one from DC for me is Plunge number 6.
You didn't get Legion of Superheroes number 8?
Oh, I did. I'm sorry. I don't have my Legion even on here. So Legion is number 8. Essentially, it is a catch-up story talking about who the main characters are and why they're part of the League. And that's it. So that's really, I mean, Lightning Lass and Dream Girl, and it's not an anthology, but it's for people who didn't read the original Legion stuff and reading this, they don't know who these characters are, so they're explaining. So that's okay. Plunge number 6. They finished the story. I mean, it was an ending.
Yeah.
I mean, so
so Dynamite, I have Bettie Page number 2.
Yeah.
They're shooting a movie. There's another murder. I'm struggling with this one. Like, so I really didn't feel like in the past iterations, the past 2 volumes. This is volume 3. In volume 1 or volume 2, I didn't feel like it was a booby book. And Carla Pacheco is weaving a tapestry here, but I'm a little bit like,
it's just a booby book now.
Yeah, it's starting to be. Although there is a scene where helicopters show up to save everybody during a hurricane, which, why would you send helicopters? And they try to save an elephant instead of saving the people, which is kind of funny. And then the elephant gets knocked into the ocean, and Betty's like, no! Oh yeah, elephants can swim. And so it comes walking out of the surf, and she loves the elephant. I mean, like, yeah, exactly. Like,
so
I'm not sure about what's going on here, but I'm enjoying it, sort of.
IDW gave me Canto 2, the Canto 2 number 1,
Hollow Man number 1. Yeah.
So essentially, the Canto and his group, the Clockwork people, find that they have a lifespan. They're about to die. They need the Hollow Man to come back. They need to find the Hollow Man to basically give them eternal life. That's the story. So
Cool.
Sleeping Beauties number 3.
You didn't get Lock and Key Pell Battalions?
I did not know because I could care less. Sleeping Beauties number 3. So what you're now finding out is the women who have these shrouds, these beehives on their heads, they're in their own world together. They all can talk to each other. They know once one appears, they know what's going on. They've why are we doing this? What's happening? There's an underworld, even kind of a dream world that they're using. It's actually pretty interesting. So still don't know why it's happening, but we know it's happening.
TMNT number 108.
Yeah.
God, it's so good. If you're not reading TMNT right now, you're missing one of the best comics in the industry. I mean, it's really well written. Jenica and the crew find the Slithery. Mm-hmm. It kicks their butts. They've been slimed in. They wake up. They get out. They save the kids. April comes charging in to rescue them, only for them to meet her about halfway. And they help this thing. It's a mutant, but it's kind of a mindless mutant at this point. But don't forget, there's a precedent for this. Slash, when he first came out, was fairly mindless. And so they end up, instead of beating it up or whatever, they help it find its way out to sea. And it has found its way outside the mutant quarantine zone. And April basically threatens to blackmail Baxter Stockman to expose what he's doing with the Mausers if he doesn't stop. And he's like, look, I'll let you get away with this time, but let's not forget who the mayor is. Pretty good.
Image.
So you should have number 2.
Number 2. So the guy they ripped off has found out what's going on and is coming after Chu's. He's coming after the Chu sister. Now they're twins, and what's happened is one of the twins is being targeted, where the other one is one actually who committed the crime. So interesting little beginning story.
Family Tree?
I don't do Family Tree.
I thought you did Family
No.
Tree. Good.
No.
Philadelphia number 7?
So we're now getting more of the lore. Now this is about Abigail rather than Adam. And so Abigail, rather than John, excuse me. So Abigail is starting to, so she has her quorum, her group of vampires together. And what she says happening is she's like, listen, we got beat, but it's okay, we're coming back. And there's still vampire killings all over the place. The kid detective, the son is like, he's trying to figure out what's going on and where they're coming from. Well, what happens is Abigail tells a story. When they came back from their trip and they brought yellow fever back with them, one of the things that John Adams wanted to do is get back into power. Legitimately get back into power. So he goes to Thomas Jefferson. Well, as she's bored, she walks outside and she sees this this one slave that's still working at 1 o'clock in the morning, still tending the garden, and she can't tries to speak to it. It won't speak to her. And she asks Thomas Jefferson, him. Him.
Not a place to drop it.
No, sorry. And she won't speak. The slave won't speak, and so she goes to Jefferson and says, "Who is this?" She says, "Oh, well, we grew up together. We've been together for a long time, and when his family was sold off, he just kind of lost it." And she says, "Well, can I buy him?" And what she does is she immediately turns him into a vampire. Now he's more comfortable in a mask and some sort of. He's most comfortable at being enslaved. And so basically she uses him only for the most severe work. And in order to take down these people who are supposed to be helping the vampires, now she uses him to go after them. This is vicious and fantastic, and I love it.
This doesn't sound like something that should even be published.
Mercy number 5.
Mercury and Dolpho's Mercy number 5. Do you know what the hell's going on?
Nope.
Okay, I don't know either. I'm gonna say, guys, it's a beautiful book.
Yeah.
If you understand what's going on, someone please explain it to me. Maybe it's the translation. I don't know.
This is a confusing story. It's like you're like.
It's almost nonsensical.
Somewhere along the line, I think either she doesn't understand what happened in the gold rush in Alaska, or she's putting her own narrative and spin on something else. It's gorgeous, though. I mean, the art is amazing. She is an incredible artist.
I got to admit, there's two things. I'm not doing Unsacred Volume 2. I'm not. I can't. And I'm gonna have a harder time. I love her art, but some of the narratives are starting to get a little loose and a little nonsensical.
It's strange. It's strange. That Texas Blood.
Number 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
Intense, man. Intense. So he finds out who actually killed his brother.
Well, no.
He does, or I thought you figured. I thought the ex.
You just insert story that isn't there.
I thought the ex was explaining who did it.
No. His ex-girlfriend and him, he goes back to his hotel.
Right.
And she's there waiting on him, and they hook up. And after they hook up, he's basically asking her, "Who broke your nose?" Right. And he explains that it's this guy. And this guy has history with both him and his brother.
Right.
And he says, do you think this guy did it? And he said, well, I don't know. She says, I don't know. It's possible. And so she leaves. He goes to take a shower, which is like next day kind of thing.
Right.
And when he comes back, there's a guy cowboy sitting with a gun on him. The guy obviously has history with the brother, has a scar on his face that clearly the brother gave him.
Right.
And he takes him out to this farm, this big ranch, and drops him in the middle of nowhere. And a minute later, this big Cadillac Escalade pulls up, and this very gangster-esque...
Oh, the ranch owner. Yeah.
Very gangster-esque ranch owner, and his hands come out and...
beat the shit out of him.
Smack him around a little bit. And...
then the cop shows up, the sheriff shows up.
The sheriff shows up and basically is like, is there a problem here? And
essentially rescues the guy from being murdered in the middle of the desert. So.
And takes him back to his house, his brother's house.
Right.
So, really interesting.
Yeah, good story. Yeah.
So, I've got Amazing Spider-Man 47.
Yep.
Nick Spencer. Sin Eater, trying to go after Norman Osborn.
850 is next week, right?
There's the story. Yeah. Did you do Daredevil Annual number 1?
So yes, the Red Hood, or the Hood. He is a Nornstone.
Yeah.
A Nornstone can change reality.
Yeah.
He changes reality to create a twin of Matt Murdock. And what he's doing is he's using this twin as a foil. This twin can see perfectly. It's a twin, not Matt Murdock. His name is Mike Murdock. And what he does is he'll trap people. He tricks them into doing something so they can be robbed. Well, what he does is he steals the Nornstone from the Hood, and then creates an actual backstory for himself, where he actually grew up as a twin of Matt Murdock's.
So does Matt now know who Mike is?
Yes, but Mike doesn't know that Matt is Daredevil.
Wow. Sounds pretty good.
It was insane. I mean, very, very well done. Just completely, it was wonderful. But it's Chip Zdarsky at his best. Empire Captain America #3.
Yeah, I didn't read it.
I mean,
I didn't even buy it.
it's an ending. I mean, Cap does his thing. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like Cap wins. So
It's kind of like
Yeah.
Empire and Avengers. Oh,
Yeah.
by the way, Kazar's not dead.
Fantastic Four Antithesis. I mean, okay.
Okay, so I'm going to keep reading it.
If the story were written 10 years ago, it'd be relevant. It's just not relevant today. That yes, Galactus has been
I
killed.
think it might be really interesting because Galactus clearly isn't killed because he's on the cover of the next
Right.
issue. Norrin Rad isn't the Black Surfer at this point, but he does have darkness in his
Right.
in his body. So like, there are tick marks here that I'm curious as to what's going on.
And it's Mark Waid. It's
Yeah.
a good story. And it's Neil Adams. It's fantastic.
Speaking of stories that were clearly middles, but I enjoyed, Hellions #3.
Yeah, this is one that I liked it, but at the same time, have we done this before? And my God, Alex needs some therapy. I swear, you cut your mouth open to go tell this ex of yours that you still love her.
Hold on.
I mean,
Madeline Pryor, who Alex was obsessed with back
Yes,
in the day,
yeah.
used a spell to cover his mouth up. Think Neo in the Matrix, the first movie.
Yeah.
And he shatters glass and uses it to cut cut a mouth hole. And then she, being the twisted goblin queen that she is, kisses him with his bloody mouth. Meanwhile,
Wild Child is attacking.
Quentin kills Wild Child by breaking his neck, and then he, regenerates because he's
and he
little
says,
Wolverine.
he's like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
You're in
and
charge.
Thanks for putting me in charge.
So, yeah.
I'm not impressed with Hellions, but
X Factor #2, Mojo. I mean, we haven't seen Mojo in a long time. This is kind of a time for a Mojo verse. So basically, X Factor, in trying to find more mutants, they're basically tricked into going to the Mojo verse. And so,
historically, guys, I haven't read X Factor because it's been terrible.
the Peter David run was the best run. X-Men #11, though. The Kotati finally hit Genosha. I'm not Genosha, I'm sorry.
Krakoa.
Krakoa, Genosha. They finally hit Krakoa, and who's the one who steps up and to take him down?
Magneto.
Oh, God. We're in the red again, and it's like, he basically uses magma. Can you hit that pocket? And he uses, he has magma thrown in.
So if Krakoa's volcanoes erupts, it's painful to Krakoa.
Right.
So magma has a tapped magma flow under the ocean that she can bring up. So she brings it up. Iceman hits it with ice to basically super cool it.
Yep.
That then turns it into
There's steel rods.
still shards.
And what does he do? He rains steel shards. I mean, it's like,
on the Kotati and just shreds them.
oh, this is the
And then-
best Magneto ever.
And then the beautiful thing is the Kotati chieftain or whatever is talking trash to him, and Magneto drops 3 satellites on him in a row. He's like, and the guy throws it off, and he's like, "How dare you!" It was just like,
he says, now please tell Sage, because he's talking to the Cuckoos, please tell Sage, we'll pay for the one satellite that we knew that was supposed to exist. What about the government satellites? What government satellites?
yeah, we know nothing about those.
We know nothing about those. So yeah, man, it just goes to show you how powerful this man truly is and how much he holds back.
Yeah.
Because he holds back a lot.
So I did not read X-Men God Love Man Kills Extended Cut #2.
You didn't have to. We've read it before.
Yeah.
We own it. It's like, it's...
I really am glad I have this in my collection. I'm glad I have this digitally in my collection now if I ever want to go back to it.
And you have the original copy.
Right, and I have a beautiful original copy. I didn't get Oni Rogue Planet #4.
I did, but I'm not going to talk about it without you.
And I didn't get Scout's Grit #2 yet.
No, but you have it now.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
I think you have
I've
to
won
end
the
up.
vault, engine word #2.
Yeah.
The gods finally come to visit the people, basically trying to allay their fears. Oh no, everything's fine, don't worry. And of course, some of these people, the human beings, are like, wait, hold on, everything's not fine. You're a bunch of jerks. Well, the metal head that's been not talking finally is talking, and it's finally explaining to these humans that, by the way, there's a seed that should have been planted where you should have plenty of water and plenty of food. Where's the seed? That's kind of where it ends.
Yeah.
So, kind of excited. It's a good book. So,
Cool.
How long did we go?
35 minutes and 2 seconds.
Hey,
so far.
look
Good
at
job.
that. Pretty good. And we talked too much about Three Jokers.
Yeah. All right,
Hey,
guys.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate you
Please,
listening.
again, give us feedback on kind of how you want reviews to go.
Yeah.
Do you want these rapid fire reviews, or would you like to hear a little bit more in detail? Like if I had to choose, we would have talked about X-Men, we would have talked about That Texas Blood, TMNT, and Three Jokers. Those would have been probably what I brought to the table.
Yeah, I've been really
And
good.
Flash. I would have brought Flash.
Of course, because it's Flash.
Because it's good. Thanks, guys.
We appreciate it.